Morning guys, ito po uli ang Senatorial Gisahan 1-on-1, Episode 5. Kasama ko po ngayon si dating Undersecretary Butch Valdes na nasa liderato po ngayon nasa partido po ngayon ng KDP. Ano po ba yung KDP, sir?
KDP is Katipunan Demokratikong Pilipino. No?
Ayun.
Ako po ang founding chairman ng partido. No? At meron po kaming ibang mga kasama dyan. No? At we're total of 7. 7 kaming tumatakbong Senado. Sa senador dito sa KDP.
Okay. Sir, ipaliwanag nyo nga sa akin sa yung basics ng platform ninyo. Ano ba gusto nyo gawin para pag naging senador kayo?
Marami kaming gustong gawin pag naging senador. As a matter of fact, madalas namin sinasabi pag nakapasok kami sa Senado, magkakarevolusyon sa Senado. Because lahat na namin gustong gawin ay talagang moving towards changing certain areas of trying to change certain areas of programs and policies. Now, bagamat legislature, siguro through the Senate we can influence the thinking of even the executive as to what areas will be needed that we should be focusing on. Kasi itong ating nakaraan ilang dekada, sa aming palagay, sa akin pong palagay, ang medyo nagkaroon po ng deterioration ng quality of life ang mga mamamayang Pilipino. No? At kuminsan napakahirap maramdaman ng ating mamamayang Pilipino. Pero kami po, dahil ang larangan ko po ay the field of accountancy, I headed an accounting firm, tapos ekonomista din po ako at nagbibigay po ako ng economic briefings all the past maybe 3-4 decades now. That's all I've been doing, focusing on economic policy and programs. At all the way, I was very critical of how the direction of our economy was going. Kanya napilitan po kami nagtayo ng movement. No? Ang unang-una po kong movement na itinayo ay itong Save the Nation movement. Save the Nation movement focuses on economic programs. No? Meron kaming 3 agarang hakbangin para sa kaligtasan ng ating bansa.
Alright.
At ditong 3 agarang hakbangin, nung sabi namin,
Ano po yung 3 agarang hakbangin? Una muna, ano yung mismong specific na problem na gusto nyo i-address?
Ekonomiya.
Alin parte? Kasi po sabi nyo kanina, over the past, several decades, nag-deteriorate ang quality of life,
Right.
Standard of living. So, ano yung exactly yung gusto nyong punterihin doon ng mga...
Kasi po, sa akin pong palagay, na ang ating pong direksyon ng ating ekonomiya was transformed from what would have been a producer economy and into a service economy. Over the past how many decades, starting from Corazon Aquino, ang talagang tinutukan po natin ay service economy. Ano po ba yun? Pumasok po tayo sa culinary arts, pumasok po tayo sa caregivers, itong mga nurses. And lahat po, hanggang ngayon, nandito tayo sa mga call center agents. No? All of that was service. Ang ekonomiya natin is dependent, of course, on OFWs, which means we export our people, and then ang pinakamarami dyan, siyempre, yung tinatawag natin domestic helpers, at para magpadala sila ng pera sa atin. Sa amin po palagay, hindi ganito ang isang ekonomiya. Because we will be dependent on cheap labor. The reason we have to go and get jobs abroad is because we are willing to accept cheaper salaries than those that are there. Okay.
From there.
Kanya sa atin yung cheaper salaries malaki na compared to what we're doing. Pero hindi po ganyan sa aking palagay ang pagpapatakbo ng ekonomiya dahil mayroon po tayong every year pumapasok sa labor market. At hindi natin...
So we're a producer economy, sir. We're a producer of human beings.
Yes. Well,
at din-export natin yung mga human beings.
And then we export the human
Tragic,
beings.
No?
What we should do is the quality of human beings that we produce, and the technological capabilities that we generate and develop, no, must move towards fixing our economy and moving towards the production of our economy so that meron tayong continuity. Paano naman tayo, how can we base our economy on just being suppliers of world's domestic helpers, no? Hindi po pwede siguro maging
So
ganyan.
how would you do that, sir, as a senator? How would you help address that? I don't expect you to fix it,
No.
pero how can you alleviate it man lang?
Well, first of all, we must move towards real infrastructure, no? We must question the fact that we haven't gone into real infrastructure. For example, what is real infrastructure? Not the roads and the bridges.
What is
no?
it?
It's energy, no? Energy and water, no? You cannot move anything unless you've got energy. You cannot produce anything unless you've got reliable, clean, and cheap energy. Right now, the only thing all over the world, the cheapest, the most reliable, and the cleanest source of power generation is nuclear. And we
most
have
reliable, no?
yes, we have a nuclear power plant, and because of Corazon Aquino, we spent
It's more
$4 billion on it. Marcos spent 1.5, and Corazon spent 2.5, trying to stop it. No? And we lost the case against Westinghouse, so we were penalized. And up to 2007, we were paying $100,000 a day, no, for this. Now, that is a $4 billion plant, and we have not produced a single watt from it. No? And it's sayang, no? And yet, this thing is going to save lives. Once you go into...
But wait, sir. Actually, it's non-debatable na.
Yes, okay.
We need energy. So how will you address it?
Well, first, I'm going to have to move towards getting that plant starting. No? And when we start the nuclear power plant, as we had proposed, by the way, we had given a proposal to the president, no? Not personally, because we don't get to meet him, but we prepared a report by the Renaissance Philippines, a group that we were involved in, wherein we were going to have a nuclear energy development program that will not cost a single cent for the government.
PPP?
No, not PPP. You see, the nuclear power plant we have in Bataan is owned by the government. No? We will rehabilitate that. We will get Westinghouse to run it again, inject a little equity, which is probably not more than $1 billion, and it will run within 12 to 18 months. At least this is what the Russian scientists are saying. This is what the South Korean scientists are saying. Between 12 to 18 months, that plant will run. Once it runs, it's owned by government. The income that it will generate will fund the next nuclear power plants that we will be putting up. And so those next nuclear power plants will be actually of a different model. They will be smaller, they will be cheaper, and faster to construct.
Okay, question, sir. So let's suppose, kasi actually non-debatable na we need new sources of energy and that we need cheaper energy. However, if you're gonna do something like that, sabi mo, up in 12 to 18 months. So that means, in 12 to 18 months, today's power producers will face fierce competition from the nuclear power plant.
Yes.
And we know how powerful their lobby is.
Well,
so, suppose you went in the Senate, naupo kayo, how will you go against that lobby? How will you be able to build consensus with your peers?
As of now, RJ, even before getting into the Senate, we've already mounted a movement which is asking the President to declare a state of emergency on the power sector.
Pwede ba yan?
Well, he can.
Okay.
Well, you know, Ramos declared a state of emergency on before, right? Yes, so he can do it now. But this time, it is to suspend the EPIRA law and to grant the Filipino people 50% discount across the board on all of its electricity rates. Okay, this is very much needed because the biggest burden of any Filipino household
declare state of emergency. Ano lang po, sigurado ko lang na follow ng mga readers.
Okay.
So, declare state of emergency on the power sector. Using that power, number one, suspend the EPIRA law, and number two,
grant a 50% discount on all electricity bills.
Okay.
Okay, mabigat, no? But pwedeng gawin. You see, first of all, you must understand and why this is needed. We are paying the highest electricity rates in the world. We're paying 24 US cents per kilowatt hour. Whereas even in the US, they only pay 12 US cents per kilowatt hour, one half of what we pay. And yet, ang ordinary citizen nila doon earns 30 times more than the Filipino here. The cost burden of electricity in the Filipino is 25% of the person's salary goes into electricity. Yan po ang nangyayari. It is onerous and immoral.
Question, sir. So, yung pangalawang issue, yung 50% slash on electricity rates, medyo mahirap yon. Pero yung number one na EPIRA law,
yes.
I want to focus on that. Ano po ba yung problema sa EPIRA law?
EPIRA law privatized the whole power sector. No? The whole power sector. Power generation, power transmission, and power distribution. Ang may-ari nito, minsan siguro nagsasama-sama na sila sa directorates nila, is eight corporations. No? And they're earning something like 3 to 3.5 trillion pesos every year on us. Para maramdaman mo, the whole international community, ang kanilang electricity rates have increased by only 46% in over 20 years. Okay. 46%.
How about us?
In the Philippines, in the same 20 years, we increased our power rates by 460%. No?
Huh?
Yes, because pinasok natin sa private sector. Ano bang objective ng oligarchy? I call them oligarchy. No? Ang objective nila, siyempre profits. No? At hindi mapipigilan ng bayan dahil nakprotektado itong mga oligarko ng EPIRA law. No? So, now, this is onerous and immoral. If the president really wants to address this kind of situation for improvement of the quality of life of Filipino, this is, to my mind, hands down, is going to help the Filipinos all the way from now till even beyond his term. Now, I also want to say, hindi lang ito, it does not stop there. The reason we want to focus this here is because I personally am against the PPP. The public utilities, water,
public-private partnerships?
Yeah. Because lahat yung public-private partnership nakafocus sa public utilities. Electricity, water, healthcare, mga transit systems. Di ba po? Now, public utilities must first benefit the public. Ang publiko dapat ang mag-benefit dyan, hindi yung private sector. Pero dahil dito sa ginawa nating PPP at ginawa nating EPIRA at mga iba pang nangyari, ang unang-unang nagbe-beneficyo dito, ang oligarko.
Well, of course.
Tapos sumasalo na lang tayo ng all of the dadagdagang nilang presyo. No? Ang consumers ang tinatamaan. But because of the high cost of electricity, it's not just the consumers. It also prevents real investment from coming in to put up the factories. Because palagi nilang tinuturo, napakamahal ng kuryente ninyo. And we are, I'm sure all of these other so-called economists, I say so-called because I have my beef against the economic advisors of this president. No?
Why, sir?
I don't think they're advising him correctly. I don't think even with the train law, they misled him into thinking that by imposing train law, the prices are going to go down.
So, okay. So, focus tayo sa train law, kasi especially since I think magiging relevant issue sa 17th or 18th Congress, di ba?
Yes.
So, ano po ba yung mga issue nyo dun, sir? Isa-isahin natin.
Basically, yung train law niyan sa akin is a consumption tax eventually. No? Meron silang iba-ibang mga indirect ways of doing it, pero basically it redounds to increasing increasing the taxes to the consumer. No? And once it's a consumption tax, para bang VAT, no? Tataas at tataas ang halaga ng bilihin.
Yes.
Okay? Ang sinasabi ng mga advisors ng presidente, hindi, nakatutok tayo dito, hindi naman doon sa mga mahihirap. Pero ang talagang nangyayari, ang mahihirap, ang sumasalo ng lahat. Maski na hindi mo tututukan ng directly ang tax niyan, yung tax na ini-impose mo dito,
Mag-trickle sa kanila.
sila ang sasalo. No?
Okay, so
And
how
this
would
is
you do it,
real.
sir, if you were given,
Well,
pare ikaw may 100%
okay.
power over tax reform?
The reason for the train law that they were saying, etong mga ekonomista, ang sabi nila, kasi meron tayong build. No? Eh, mali ang kanilang reason if that's the case. Alam mo bakit? Ang taxes, no, that you impose on the people is parang it's only for operating expenses. If you want to go finance your build projects, you have to go long term, because infrastructure is an investment. Investments like that need long term money.
Where do you get long-term money?
From China and from AIIB, from Russia, or from BRICS Bank, and all of these countries that are willing to go on a long-term infrastructure investment arrangements with countries like us. What had happened? What had happened was, ang ginawa natin, meron tayong ODAs, what they call borrowing, long-term borrowings, Okay, long-term borrowings yan, with very low interest. Pero meron din silang reserve para sa private sector, infrastructure, no? Bakit sila magbibigay ng reserve para sa private sector? Because of PPP? No. What happens, etong mga private sector cannot borrow long-term money with low interest. Only governments can do that. Okay. Ang ginawa nila, binigay nila sa private sector. So the private sector has to borrow commercial rates at short-term periods, which means high cost. This high cost, gusto nilang ipondohan with the train law. Generation of funds. No? Why will you do that? No? Di siyempre ang tatamaan itong mga taong to. Why? To favor the private sector. No. Infrastructure must be, it's a long-term investment. Ang benefits dyan will redound maybe about 5, 10, 15, 20 years from the time you have fixed it.
Yeah, kasi ganito, sir. Sabi kasi, nung nanood ako ng launching ng Build about a year or two ago, ang sabi po kasi doon, sabi ko, so, dami nang gusto magpatayo. Tinanong ko talaga sila si Joke, no? Tsaka si ang dami nang gusto magpatayo. Paano niyo babayaran yan? Di ba may ODA? Ano yung percentage ng ODA just kung hindi naman sapat yun? So, tayo kukuha. Sabi nila from local banks daw. Nakinabahan ako dahil hindi naman yung nagbibigay ng 50 years na di ba? Hindi magbibigay yan. So, ang tanong dito, kung po pwede pa yung theory mo, una, po pwede ba yung papayag ibang bansa na ODA?
Yes.
Na ODA yung financing mo na 100% ng project?
Yes.
And number two, given that, and I think there are a lot of learned officials in the government right now. I'm not saying they're good people, ha? Just educated. Do different things. So, why are they still insisting? Ano yung motive behind inserting private sector sa palagay ninyo?
That's like a rhetorical question.
Yes, it
right?
is. So, answer, sir.
Well, it's actually personal benefits. And if you were private sector, and I was the economic advisor that is in charge of this, I get to a nice project, an infrastructure. What's that? First of all, you will borrow commercial loans, right? And what's our role? I will guarantee. I have to guarantee that. Government has to guarantee that para mabigyan kita ng project. Thank you. Na? Anong thank you mo sa akin? Sa akin, delikado yan. Na? Kasi you're making use of these long-term investments for personal benefit. And of course, pag binigyan mo ng infrastructure assistance and project itong private sector. Ang infrastructure, pag pinasukan yan, parang alkansya yan. Captive market tayo. Captive, no? Wala silang kalugi-lugi. Ang utang niyan, guaranteed by government. Tapos sasabihin mo, kailangan itaas ko yung rates ko ng toll fees, kailangan itaas ko yung kung ano-ano mang rates na itataas mo para kumita ka, no? At para mabigyan mo din yung nagbigay sa iyo ng project.
This is what, sir, since kasi po mga friends, bago po tayo humaba pa yung usapan, ibigay nyo nga po sa akin, sir, na maikli muna yung inyong professional background para mabigyan sila ng konteksto doon sa susunod kong mga itatanong.
Yeah, well, my whole professional life was as a practicing accountant. No? I was head of an accounting firm, no? Which my father founded, no? And at that time that I left it, we were about 800 professionals, no? And most of them, of course, were CPAs. And of course, in the process, by being in AIM and having been awarded, and having been awarded the leadership distinction in leadership there, I was put in the Hall of Fame of AIM. No? And much of the things that we had done was understanding how the economy works. No? And the concern all the time was if the policy that was being implemented at that time even by Marcos, no, and then by Corazon Aquino, was good to the people, there should be an improvement of the quality of life of our people, no. But it was not working that way. I realized, especially during Corazon Aquino's time, that the economists that we have now and have been there, every administration, including the present one, were concerned about statistics, not concerned about the quality of life of people. You see, statistics is GDP. No? But if that is their concern, to bring on, so that it brings up our credit worthiness, right? If your GDP is so much, your credit worthiness goes up, which means they said now are attractive to so-called foreign investors. But look at the foreign investors that come in. They do not come in to put up factories. They come in as portfolio investments for speculation. They come in here, join the market, stock market, bond market, make money, which means get the profits from the locals and then get out. Right? It's a looting process, but they call that foreign investment. But they also use this to increase our GDP. So what had happened was our GDP statistics is...
So yung market speculation, yung tipong hot money coming into the PSE,
increases GDP. Yes, of course.
So walang real benefit to the common tao.
That's why ang makikita mo dito, mataas ang GDP mo, but it's disconnected to the quality of life of your people.
Alright, mabilis na explanation lang. Medyo highfalutin to some of my readers. Ganito yan mga friends. Kunwari may 1 peso ka, Amerikano ka, punta kang Pinas, i-bet mo sa stock market, naging 2 piso. Oras na mag 2 piso, naging mas favorable ang market sa States, alis ka na. Doon iuwi mo na yung dos. Ang problema, yung piso na yon, 2 things. Number 1, inagaw mo sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. At number 2, ikaw yung yumaman, walang yumaman na Pinoy.
Exactly.
Diba?
Yung mayaman, yung mga speculators.
And number 3, yung kinita mo na piso na yon, nakapatong sa GDP, nakadagdag sa total ng GDP ng Pilipinas, kahit wala namang nag-improve na buhay ng Pinoy.
Exactly. Alam nyo, in the same way, RJ, pinapaliwanag ko to dito. Okay, foreign investment, $1 billion may galing sa labas. Anong mas mabuti? Yung $1 billion, no, ipapasok dito sa agro-industrial development project, sabihin natin. That means agriculture, lagyan ng processing, ganyan-ganyan, okay? At of course, it will generate jobs and generate production na pinoproduce mo. $1 billion. Ang pagdating sa GDP mo, plus $1 billion yan. O yung isa naman, $1 billion pumasok, no? at ilinagay natin sa sugal, sabihin natin sa
Casino, kumari.
yung ating
Ano ba?
yung ating parang hindi sorry, yung parang weteng, yung
Small town lottery.
small town lottery. 1 billion pumasok, small town lottery, no? What is good, what is better for the economy? Yung 1 billion, kasi 1 billion din sa GDP yan. Yung isa 1 billion din sa GDP, no? Di siyempre yung isa, why? Because it has a generating capacity of products and work for the people. Yung sa small time lottery, ano yung pinasok ng 1 billion? Walang ginawang jobs yan, no? But pagdating sa GDP, parehong makikita mo nag-increase ng $1 billion.
Right. At pareho mukhang foreign investment.
Exactly. No. This is the problem with us. Our economies are just focused on that. They don't.
Resume padding bale.
They don't
Resume padding
care.
ng Philippine resume.
They don't care about the quality of life Filipinos.
So, question sir, as a senator, what would you do to address that? Kasi ganito lang ha, the way things are going and assuming that everything you're saying is true, I would rather have you as, say, the Department of, as the Finance Minister, rather than a senator. So why do you want to be a senator instead of something else?
Because I'm talking about the program. No, I can want to become a finance, but nobody is going to ask me, right? But the only way that I can think of is probably going into the Senate. No? But the point here is this one. If we are in the Senate, what is it that we can do to change that? Oh, we're going to cry hell. And we were going to question all of those people that are going into these kinds of investment. We're going to question the economic managers and the finance secretary as to why they went into this.
So what you intend to do is to leverage your oversight powers to the hilt.
Yes, of course.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That's why I said if we get into the Senate, there will be a revolution in the Senate. No? And we will be discussing substantive issues. We're not going to go into blue ribbon
Issues
things.
na may laman talaga.
Ano itong pang
circus lang.
photo ops lang yan ng mga ibang senador. No, I don't care about that. No, we must care about our country, or else if we don't do that now, and we allow other people to take over who do not understand, no, we will continue to deteriorate, and we might hit rock bottom in as far as this thing is concerned.
Okay, kasi sir, ang dating ko kasi, from my appreciation of what you're saying, yung magiging prospective senatorial stint is more focused on oversight.
Yes.
Hindi, kasi medyo sabihin na natin na medyo departure from the usual senator. To put it lightly.
Yes, yes.
Ang problema nun sir, pag ganon, at gusto mo gumawa ng bagong batas, hindi mangyayari yun. Di ba? Kasi mahihirapan ka magka-consensus. So, fine.
Numbers,
Kasi
okay lang.
tatlo yung powers mo, di ba? Gumawa ng batas, mag-oversight, gumawa ng budget.
Yes.
So, gusto mag-focus sa oversight, fine. Ngayon, since oversight na yung focus mo ngayon, ang appreciation ko ngayon, bukod doon sa facet na yung Duterte government, the economic strategy, focuses too much on, parang merong sumasabit na private sector, di ba?
Yes, yes.
Ano pa po ba ang palagay ninyo na dapat ayusin, sir?
Marami pa, no?
Yung mga dalawa pa, na pinakamalaki.
You mean with regard to the economy?
Yeah, how Duterte can fix his act, economic act?
Well, he has got to go into the nuclear thing. No, the other one, the third one, he's got to focus on production of food rather than buying food from outside. This thing about the rice tariffication, no, is a no-no. I'm so sad that he's inclined to approve that, if that has not been approved, no, because that will be import liberalization. We do not want to be our position is no country can call itself a nation who cannot feed its own people, right? And if we're going to go into this, wherein we will be dependent on importation of our foods, most ito pang main staple natin is rice, no? We will be at the mercy of all other countries for our survival. Then we should not go into this, because this will be like putting the nail on us, more and more nails, so that we cannot move anymore. No, we should get out of this. The ones that are pushing him for this are these economic advisors who have this concept that since we cannot produce, we might as well be dependent on the rest of the world, no? For our survival. No, I don't subscribe to that. No, and often, of course, these are the same people that will not care about our sovereignty as a nation. Now, ito pang isang gagawin natin na gusto kong ever since before is the so-called foreign debt service. No, yung foreign debt service, we're paying a debt pretty close to about $12 billion a year. No?
So that's 12 times 50.
About 600.
1,200 divided by 600 billion
About
pesos.
600 billion pesos. We're paying that and to service a foreign debt, which we never really received. And I say we never really received it. Why? What happens? Over the years, over the decades, no, our currency has been devalued upon the instructions of the IMF and the financial oligarchy, the international, those money lenders. Sasabihin nila, ang peso mo is overvalued, you better devalue it. And you cannot do anything, and so we follow. They use the central bank, which is dependent on the IMF, no, to implement this. So you devalue your currency. Dati, in
that's dangerous for a consumption-driven economy.
Exactly.
If we were a manufacturing economy, carry yun di ba?
Carry.
Yun ang issue ng US sa currency manipulation ng China, right?
I'm glad you understand it exactly the way it should be. Because pag inipit ka, sasabihin 4 pesos. Dati, 1971, 4 pesos to $1. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin nun?
Kung may $1 ka na utang,
4 pesos ang kailangan mo para bumili ng $1, bayaran mo yan. Pagdating ng all the way up to Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, let's say, 60 pesos to $1. The same $1 debt, pero you need 60 pesos.
naging 15 times.
Oh. So where will you get that? From the people. How do you get that? Value-added tax is the most efficient way of getting it. Value-added tax is a tax that is imposed on the people whether or only because they are alive. Because it doesn't care whether you are employed or not. You pay the tax. Because when you purchase anything, you are actually paying the taxes. No? It doesn't care whether you're retired or not, no? Because you still pay the tax. No? Ito yung most efficient way of collecting taxes. And they use this to service that debt. A debt which we never really received. Ang nangyayari dyan, dahil hindi ka makabayad ng lahat ng utang mo, yung residual pumapatong sa principal. Pataas ng pataas ang principal, pataas ng pataas ang debt service.
Kumbaga nagkaka-interest yung interest.
Yes.
Diba?
It's what they call banker's arithmetic. No. Ganyan ang nangyayari dyan.
So, ganito sir. Una mong sinabi kanina, para maging mas bearable, mas economically beneficial for Filipinos yung build program, imbis na maging hybrid na ODA, imbis na hybrid na foreign grant at saka foreign loan at saka bank, gawing foreign na lang lahat kasi longer term, lower interest.
And
kasi
more,
sa JICA 2% lang yan, parang ganun.
JICA, maximum na yan 3%. No?
Okay.
Pero meron pa tayong moratorium. Yung mga
moratorium?
ODAs. For example, hindi kanila agad-agad kailangan magbayad. They give you 10-year moratoriums. Grace period. Yes. Okay. May grace period. Kasi alam nila, nagbi-build ka pa no? Alam nila na hindi mo pa babayaran yan. Mababayaran mo yan pag umaandar na yung...
ba't ayaw gawin nila Dominguez to?
Paano nga? Binibigay nila dito sa mga private sector dahil meron silang arrangements.
Sa mga ex-employers nila?
At yan ang hindi yan ex-employers. It's correct. You're correct. You're correct.
Sa mga major contractors.
Yes. Yan ang hindi nila pinapaliwanag sa presidente. Alam mo, nung nagsasabi ang presidente, ako hanggang dito lang sa crime, there's drugs, and ganyan. Pero ang ekonomiya, pinauubaya ko sa mga eksperto. Ang sakit ng puso ko talaga to hear it. Because, Mr. President, sabi na, we we dip, we rely more on your common sense than the so-called expertise of these economists. No?
So parang ang naging kwento kasi sir ngayon, doon sa at the rate regulatory capture to the highest level ang nangyari, no?
The whole country. We're not
The regulated became the regulators.
Yes. Alam nyo, we are no longer in charge of our lives. The government is not in charge of our lives. It's the oligarchy, the oligarchy that is in charge of our lives. Look, water, electricity, ano pa, no? And then transport, and then healthcare.
And there's media to back them up.
Of course. If you're earning that much, no, kayang-kaya mo yan pati mainstream media.
Yeah,
Di ba?
natatandaan ko kasi sir, nung bata ako, ang konsepto namin ng ultra-rich, yung may-ari ng gasolinahan.
Oh, biro.
Di ba? Kasi pag may gasolinahan ka, siguradong bebenta ka kahit ano mga, walang lugi yan.
Siguradong pupunta.
In the same way, on a grander scale,
Yeah.
power, ano ba yan?
Mass transit system, water.
Hindi nalulugi yan.
Yung mga dams natin dito, may-ari dyan, South Korea na. Yung malaking dam natin.
Saan, sir?
Yung Angat Dam. Angat Dam.
Angat?
Yes.
So, ano?
Oo, South Korea na. They've been privatize nila yan. Lahat. No? Ang mga iba nagpatayo ngayon ng mga dams. No? Because alam mo yung dam, no?
But wait, sir. Nakikita ko yung ibig sabihin niya.
Yes, yes.
And we need basically an economic revolution.
Yes.
Ito yung problema.
Oo.
Natandaan ko, sir, yung 1953. Natandaan ko, parang buhay na ako nun. In the 1953, yung kwento ng Iran, they nationalized their oil industry. Tapos nagalit ang Britain, nagpatulong sa Amerika. America funded a coup d'etat that eventually kick out si Mossadegh na democratically elected leader. Pinalitan nila Ayatollah Khomeini. Diba? So, if you're gonna do something like that in the Philippines, and I think the scale that you want to do it, medyo mas bongga pa sa ginawa ni Mossadegh. Can you do it?
It's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do, pero will it be done?
We have to try to do it. If we call ourselves citizens, and despite the fact that it's going to be difficult, you're going to have to do it as a matter of duty, di ba po? Because what is at stake here? At stake here is our whole country and the future of this country. That's what's at stake. Now, is it worth trying? Is it worth laying down your life for it? Yes, I think so. Because after all, the trying is the trying to do it, is what is important. The success will all depend upon the people and God, but the trying is what is important for each individual, each person who calls himself a citizen of this republic.
Ganito sir benta sa akin yung idea na fine, let's rearrange the economy, fine.
Yeah.
Kaya lang sir, bilang political realist,
Yes.
I know that there are constraints. Parang if you want 100, you're probably gonna get like 30 and it's better than nothing. Ganun I don't see, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see how I want that to happen, but I don't see how it's gonna happen.
Let's go back 3 years. There's something that we never saw would happen, but it happened. His name is Rodrigo Duterte.
Which is actually right.
He was a phenomenon. There is something that had happened. He was backed up by the Filipino people. I will tell you, I will make a confession. I did not vote for President Duterte. I did not vote for anyone, but I did not vote for President Duterte. Because as I was seeing him, I said, this person does not want to win.
But at the rate he's going,
no? He was kissing, he was cursing, and he was threatening people and saying that damihan nyo yung cemetery, right? Sabi ko, how can you win like that? But the problem there was, we were looking at him from our eyes, not from the eyes of the massa. The eyes of the massa saw in him a redeemer, a savior that's going to clean up their life, change their life. Because every little community, the ones that were lording there, were the drug pushers. They were armed. they had capability, and they had money, no? And they were taking over their lives and their children's lives, no? And so they needed this person to clean that up and to redeem them from that kind of a situation. And he did. And he did to a great extent. Unexpectedly, he was able to do it. And many things that he was able to do as well. No? Now, sa atin, sabi ko, if it can be done that way, no, because the other thing, the way I justified it, I said, God really uses the most unlikely messengers. No? Sa akin, so sabi ko, this one is the unlikely messenger. No one will expect him to have been, to bring us to this. Pero meron. Now is the time. We have a strong president. We have a popular president whose heart is in the right place for the people and whose balls, is also in the right place for the republic, for the sovereignty of this republic. We have to take advantage of this. He is, to my mind, God-given. All we have to do is expand that commitment that he had made, to expand it to cover economics.
Kasi sir, ito ang ano eh, I'll be honest here.
Yes.
I've supported Duterte since 2008 when I lived in Davao.
Yes, yeah.
And the fact is, when he took office in Malacanang, his single biggest problem is ang babaw ng bangko. Wala siyang kilala eh. So he had to put in people na he knows he can trust.
Yeah.
Well, he thinks he can trust.
Yeah. And people who were recommended to him by people he could trust.
Yeah. So, in as far as, sorry na nakikigigid pa, medyo debate na to, pero
okay lang.
ano eh, yung wish mo na let's take advantage of his political capital, it's time for radical change. I think that might be impossible given the people around him and given his pre-election na, his trust of sa strangers.
Yes.
So, ngayon sir, maging senador ka. You will have a voice. Yeah.
Yes.
You will be able to talk to the president once in a while. What will you tell him?
We have to do this, Mr. President. If
Not what will you tell him, how will you convince him?
I think
It's one thing kasi to say something must be done, pero
sa akin, RJ, if I can convince you, I can convince the president. If I can convince...
Masyado mababa lang standards.
Hindi. Ibig sabihin, if the very same things, if we can convince, if people supported me enough and our group enough to put us in the Senate, then we have convinced them. Now, if we can convince this number, millions of people, why can't we convince the president? All we need to do is just a few moments of his time, and I will explain it to him in capsulized form. I feel I can. I just those important issues that he has to do, knowing and assuming that he really loves the people, and because I believe that, and he's gonna fight for them. He has to realize that what has been being fed, he has been being fed by untruths, and he was being misled by these so-called experts. Ito ang delikado. Pag yung expert mo, hindi pareho ang puso ninyo. Yan ang delikado. I believe in the president, but I have serious reservations about his members of the cabinet. Energy, economics, finance, agriculture, and even education.
Even education?
Even education.
I thought
Why? No. She's doing fine. But you have to...
Yung mo nasabi para medyo...
Right.
Ganun ako eh.
Yeah. She's doing fine. But pag nagbigay ka ng... Ito pang lacking sa atin ngayon, by the way. Kailangan magbigay ka ng vision. Kailangan magbigay ka ng objective. So that all cabinets, activities, they are not
kanya-kanyang diskarte.
kanya-kanya. They have to be following and to achieve that. And they have to work together. Education is very important. No? Because pag you're in charge of, the government is in charge of the youth, right? Health and education. Why? Because we want productive workers by the time they reach employment age, right? Now, what are you producing? If education is a process, what are you trying to produce? Are you going to produce, is your objective to produce domestic helpers? Is your objective, national objective, to produce low-skilled type of people? No? Or, if you're going to have a national objective of agro-industrialization development, then your education should
be
follow
geared
that,
up.
right?
Kumbaga may synergy.
Not only synergy, they are duty bound to make
May
sure
synergy at kung walang synergy, papaluin nyo sila para magka-synergy.
that you have the laborers required for you to have an agro-industrial development program, hindi ba? No?
Yes.
That follows. Hindi yung basta K-12 kasi sa Singapore dito, anong klase yan? Who cares about these other countries, no? Just have that objective.
So basically, create an education system that responds to your country's needs.
That responds to your country's objective.
Goals and dreams.
Right. You have to establish and clarify those goals to all of your cabinet members.
But it's not clear right now.
None. You see, that's why yung pagpaubaya ko yung economics sa aking mga eksperto, delikado yan. No? And you're the leader. Tutulungan natin siya mag-define ng objective, and then he cracks the whip on all of these cabinet members. No? Now, if he has to change these guys, and that's one of the possible proposals I will make, is to change these guys. Guys, never mind on their credentials. Just look as to whether they're going to follow and do what you want as the leader of this country.
Okay, sir. Nabother ako sa ibang mga sinabi mo. Hindi naman nabother na, ano na yun?
Yes.
Napaisip ako eh.
Very good.
But, alam mo yun talaga yung deep inside my head na sumisigaw sa akin. Daming gusto na ito, magagawa ka niya. Ganun eh, di ba?
Yeah,
it's a fair question eh, di ba?
Yes.
Daming gusto na ito. Pero I guess kung makukulit mo si Presidente, magka-boses ka, baka nga sakali.
But hindi. Tsaka yung tao. Pag andyan yung tao, no, marami kang magagawa. The people have to be behind you. That's why, remember when I said,
is there still time?
There is. If right now, for example, to me, it's very important, you grant that 50% discount across the board on electricity rates.
Will he not get impeached pag ginawa
No,
niya?
who will impeach him?
The lobbyists.
Who? Naka-state of emergency ka. Naka-state of emergency ka. This is your power. Sino mag-aano sa'yo? No? And the people are behind you. I ask you, if you grant 50% discount across the board of electricity rates, who will benefit? The people. Whether or not they are politically with you or against you, they still will be benefited. Against whom? Against 8 big corporations that are benefiting from the EPIRA law.
Okay, sir. Ganito. Finale natin, sir. Ganito, sir, gawin nyo, ha? Name. Ano tinatakbo nyo? What you want to do? How will you do it? Ayan, sige po. Game.
Butch Valdes. I'm running for senator. I want to change economic programs.
Ano number nyo, sir, sa balota?
61.
61 daw, guys.
61. I want to change the economic program from now being as a service economy back to being a producer economy. And I hope to be able to get the ear of the President and the people to back this major change that is needed so that we will be facing a much, much better future This is our legacy that we should be giving to the next generation. We may not reap the rewards early on during our lifetime, but make sure that if this is the direction we go to, no, the next generation and the generations after will be remembering us for having made these changes.
Again, ito po ang Senatorial Gisahan 1-on-1 Episode 5 with former Education Undersecretary and a career accountant. Diba?
Yes.
Butch Valdes.
Yeah.
Number 61 po sa balota. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, RJ. This is a privilege.